guys.
Happy Sunday. So this has been a very full week, and there have definitely been high and low moments. So we did start the week off really well. We went secondhand shopping, and we had a really exciting find. And part of what was exciting was that this was a want. It was not a need. And that's significant because for the last 18 months, we have been so focused on replacing the things that we really need to replace that we have been incredibly disciplined shoppers and not really splurging on anything outside of that list.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we actually bought something that was just a want.
Yeah. So that ended up setting off a whole chain of projects when we got home. And so that was really fun too, because we ended up doing something for ourselves that we probably would not have done otherwise. So we'll show you that this week. And then something else I want to show you is there's a section of the garden with invasives. I know, guys, at this point, we've pretty much established every area of the garden has invasives. But this is an area that I haven't worked on before, and I was excited to because I thought those invasives were probably hiding something pretty cool underneath it. And it was. I was right. So I'm eager to show you that as well this week.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
It does. And now I did say highs and lows. So a low moment for the week is that the hot water heater went out.
Yeah.
Pretty lame. So Mr. Huff, he dug out the manual and the warranty, and guess what, guys? The warranty expired 36 days ago.
Yeah, February 20th.
Yeah, so no luck there. But we initially were thinking this was going to be a major unexpected expense because the receipt from when the previous homeowners put this hot water heater in was like 1,300 euros.
Yeah.
Youch.
No bueno.
Yeah, so wrong language entirely, but that's okay. So anyway, we were kind of facing that unexpected expense, and luckily something was in our favor, or we think so, fingers crossed. So in the EU, there is a law that companies have to sell replacement parts for their mechanical things for, like, was it 5 years or 10 years? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But for frugal people, DIY people like us, that is like music to our ears. So he was able to track down the part. So what was wrong with this hot water heater?
Yeah, I would have a hard time describing it, but there's a sleeve that sits inside the tank, and inside that sleeve goes the thermostat. Anyway, the sleeve is apparently rusted through in a spot, so the tank was leaking.
Not surprising because we use well water and it's very high iron. So anyway, he was able to order the part. It's supposed to come midweek.
Yeah, sometime this week, later in the week.
So anyway, here's the great thing though. It does not mean that we are without hot water, and that's simply because, as we've shown you, we have the house, and the end of it is a gîte, so it has happily its own hot water heater.
Yeah. And
so this week, that's not feeling like a redundancy, that's feeling like a necessity. So luckily we have a kitchen sink in the gîte and a dishwasher and a bathtub. So we have everything we need. In the meantime, we're definitely having to shuttle dishes.
Yeah, it's just a minor inconvenience.
But
not a big deal.
We really can't complain. So he ended up spending, was it like 150 euros?
Yeah, somewhere around 150 euros.
Okay.
So
next week, we'll see. I can guarantee there'll be us filming.
Fingers crossed, that's the problem.
Yeah, so hopefully next week what we're showing you is that he's repairing it and it works again and not anything else. So that's good. We've also been in a bit of limbo because here in France, the whole country is getting fiber optic cable. It's been a major project. There are, believe it or not, a lot of areas in France that are rural enough that some people didn't even have phone service. And so they sort of prioritize things by giving the communities with the least connectivity first dibs on the fiber.
Yeah.
So we're kind of later in the project than most, because I think by 2026 they're supposed to have it rolled out everywhere. So anyway, we've signed up. We've gotten some of the parts mailed to us, which meant a trip to the bar to pick them up. And now we're waiting for them to come install. So we've got that happening next week. They're coming Monday to put the socket in the house. And then we can see the fiber maybe like 2 roads away from us. We're kind of daily tracking how close they've managed to dig
the end of the line that's headed towards us is less than a mile away. So
yeah,
hopefully this week we'll have something.
Yeah, so we've got a lot going on with utilities and things right now. And that's a major project. They sent twice two people out to the house to survey. And then we got a huge package in the mail with all these photos of our property, showing us where each piece of the fiber optic was going to be installed. They're going to be digging a trench all the way across our entire orchard to both put in the fiber optic, but also to put all of the electric lines underground. So that's
Yeah.
a major undertaking.
Yeah, that's good timing. We had that big storm a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it took down power lines everywhere. So I think they're trying to get ahead of that and putting all the utilities
so ready in the
underground.
Future. Yeah. So that's going to be major stuff. We're all kind of in limbo, waiting and watching. It'll be really exciting to have it, but it's going to be something to watch for sure. It's going to be stressful. But yeah, they're going to be digging all the way across our orchard to put the lines in the ground, and then running the cables, electric, all the way across the entire front of the house. So fingers crossed that this goes well. I think it'll be really exciting if they get installed and everything goes well, and we'll have really, really fast internet.
Definitely a step forward.
Yeah. Okay, so that's some of what we've been focused on this week, but also I did still make time to get in the kitchen, and this week I made a orange pound cake that is really, really tasty, and I thought this would be the perfect time to share it with you because, again, it's something that really lends itself to Easter. And of course, Mr. Huff is a happy boy because...
Yes, he actually made 2 of those. So
yeah, so he's eating well this week. We definitely can't feel sorry for him. So I think that's most of what we've been up to this week. You want to... Oh, whoa, I almost forgot a big one. So we're finally getting back to vide grenier season.
Oh, yeah.
And so we went to 2 vide greniers this morning, which, just to remind you, if you've not watched before, a vide grenier is basically like a big yard sale. And instead of it happening at your house, it might be at a community center. It might be like all through the streets of a town where everybody in that village is having a yard sale on the same day. And you just walk through the whole village. And it's great because you park once instead of in the US where you have to drive from house to house and then hit all the sales. So we went today.
And we had saucies sandwiches.
Yeah, so a sandwich saucisse is basically a sausage sandwich. They take a baguette, they split it down the side like they would a hot dog bun in the US, and then it gets a big sausage inside of it, and you can choose ketchup or mayonnaise or mustard to go on top of it.
Yeah, visualize a hot dog, an American hot dog, and then multiply that by 10 in taste.
Yeah, it is actually something you want to eat. Unlike an American hot dog, which maybe once a year you want to eat a hot dog. So anyway, for like €3, it's a really cheap lunch. And you pretty much know when you go to vide greniers that you can get a saucisse sandwich. So we're back to saucisse season. We're back to secondhand shopping at the vide greniers. So we did that today, and I think we'll probably take you along soon and show you some of our favorite ones, because there were 2 last year that we absolutely loved. There was one that was in the hangar from a blimp from like World War II.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then there was another one that's, I think maybe it's next weekend, one of my favorite ones last year, an entire town-wide sale that took us hours to shop because there were so many people participating.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be showing you some of that stuff because I'm telling you, the secondhand shopping in France is next level. And let's see. I think that's pretty much our week. Yeah.
Sounds like a full week.
Yeah. So lots to show you this week. Definitely lots to show you next week. Cross your fingers. By the time you see us again, we're reporting that we have a hot water heater that works and internet that works as well, because that's very important.
Yeah.
So, all right, you ready to show them what we've been up to?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we stopped at a brocante that we'd only been to on one prior occasion. And in the back room, I spotted these plates. So these are ironstone. And I've always collected the plain white ironstone. And in fact, I brought my pieces with me from the US. But this was a new to me pattern. And I don't know if you can tell in this lighting, but the pattern on it is done in a dark green. So it's really pretty. And the scene I'll show you up close. So the top has a chateau with a lake. And some of the other scenes, there are a little church or a little farmhouse. And there's another coastal scene. So I thought the pattern was really, really pretty. And they had 2 stacks, so they had a total of 19 plates. And we were able to buy them for 30 euros, which I think is a really good price for 19 plates. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, these will be really pretty to use on the table with some of our other things at Christmas with the green. And then Aaron mentioned Easter, and that immediately was like a light bulb in my head. So let me show you what that ended up leading to. So buying those plates ended up leading to this entire Easter table spread. So when we came home, I thought, I'm going to see if I can make some cloth napkins to go with these plates and do them in colors that are going to make this have like a really springy Easter effect. So I didn't want to spend any money. I went upstairs to my studio and dug through my bins of fabric, and I ended up finding this fabric, which is something that somebody had given me just like some scraps of years ago. And I thought they looked very springy, and they had the greens. So I sewed up a set of napkins. Mr. Huff cut them for me. And I had enough for 4 place settings. And since I wanted to do a bigger table than that, I also then made some other napkins just out of a cream color that also matched. So every other place setting has white or floral. And then I only had one table runner, my red one. So I decided to make a table runner as well. And I had this mattress ticking fabric. And again, I'm not sure if you can tell, but the mattress ticking in this case is actually green rather than the traditional blue. So that was perfect with these plates. It's the same color. So I sewed this table runner. Again, props to Mr. Huff because he cut it off for me. And then I set about just decorating the table with things that we had on hand. So I have always had a lot of milk glass pieces. So I pulled in some milk glass vases, and the one on either end is forsythia cuttings from the garden, and the center is just a little faux tulip thing that I've had for years. And then I pulled out my little white ceramic chickens because I thought they were fun on the table. And my milk glass candlesticks, which again, I've had forever. I think I got them at a yard sale years ago. And then because I did want to have a little more French touch to it, when we were at the grocery store this week, I picked up a single chocolate chicken for the table. So you do see the chocolate Easter bunnies like we have in the US, but you'll also see quite a few other farm animals, and chickens are definitely very common. So you see a lot of chocolate chickens. So we've got one to set our table this year. So there you go. One lucky dish find leads to an entire Easter tablescape. While we're talking about Easter candy, let me just show you how much our local grocery store has on offer. This is a huge section of Easter candy. And as I mentioned before, you aren't just limited to chocolate Easter bunnies. There are horses and dragons and cows and even chocolate soccer balls. Can I interest you in a chocolate squirrel? And you're probably noticing quite a few brands that you're familiar with. I'd never seen chocolate chickens until we moved to France, but I have to say,
As a former chicken owner, they have become my go-to Easter candy. Kinder is big in France, but it's not as big as another brand that I'm about to show you. This is practically a shrine to Ferrero Rocher. The French absolutely love the combination of chocolate and hazelnut. In fact, I recently heard that fully 1/3 of all of the Nutella produced is sold in France. Okay, now that we've shopped for our Easter candy, I guess we'd better get back to work.
Howdy.
Hello. So, sort of went on a bit of a side quest here. Alright, let me show you what I'm doing. So, you know how much this drives me nuts? All of the hay that has grown through the hay.
Yep.
All the briars. Alright, so I decided to go ahead and fix it. So, what I'm doing, and it's all because I was working on this. I got to this point and I was like, oh boy, my teeth. So,
Well, these are my peeves, so I'm glad you always work on those.
yeah, so I love having the blackberries, but I don't like having all the hay growing up through it because there was never, I don't think in recent years there's been a clean edge here that's being maintained with a weed eater. So I've started pulling back all the grass and stuff out of it. And there's a lot of stinging nettle. Yeah, surprise. And there's some ivy under there. So I've cleared a certain distance back. I still need to climb under there, which is not going to be fun, and get the stuff in the center out. But I think it's worth doing because if you and I can decide on an edge, like we can maintain a very neat line. We can decide how far out we want it to go, and then we can just maintain that with the weed eater.
Yeah.
And then that'll also give us a line where we'll know if we start having briars coming this way, we'll know where we want to stop them. So we'll know when we get to that line, we're going to cut them there. And I've started pulling out some of the dead canes as well. So some of what's making it look so messy is there's a lot of old growth in there that's not producing fruit anymore. So if we get that stuff out, it'll also look a lot visually neater.
Well, it looks a lot neater already.
Yeah, because look down here. So this is what it's like everywhere. Not only is it super messy, all of this grass, it's a fire hazard if we ever had an issue. This is not something we want anywhere near the house. So this is what this has been like all the way through here where I've been cleaning so far. So I think it already looks a lot neater. And I think if we finish this, then it'll look like an intentional hedgerow, even though it's wild.
Yeah.
So, and of course I'll have to do the back side too. Maybe we need to pop over there and look at that real quick. Okay, so, I mean, there's a lot of work on this side too because, there we go, briars. There's quite a bit of this ivy in here. I've been pulling it out today. It's not exactly the easiest stuff to get underneath briars, but I think we should try to get it all out of there. And all the grasses, because there is the stone wall there, and I don't even know what shape it's in. It looks to me like maybe that part of the wall has collapsed a little more, but it's hard to say because it's so much stuff. So if we come in here and pull all this grass out, and the stinging nettle and the ivy, then it should look a lot neater, and we'll be able to see what condition the wall's in. Because this, hey, I mean, look at it. It's just like big tufts of hay. So get all that out of there here. And I would love to get this clean to where we can just weeded when you mow.
Well, it'd be nice to be able to come through here with the mower without being grabbed by these briars.
Yeah. And I mean, I just think it could look a lot neater. Like right now, this just looks like completely unmaintained, which I guess is really what it is. But I mean, and I've been really curious since we got here as to what we have going on with the wall here, because I'm not entirely sure we don't have a wall. Because if you sit here and look, ow,
Yeah, that's a wall.
so it may be like the one in the backyard, where it's because it's on an incline, it's just built up, like kind of following the contour.
I wonder if that's a
So I don't know.
staircase even. I don't know.
A what?
Might be a staircase there.
That would be so nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, I've always wished we had one there. But anyway, I think this is my project now, because it's only going to get harder to do this once the blackberries start coming back, and I can see that they're already budding. See? So I think I'm gonna work on this, because I've always thought it was a shame that this area right here was so messy. And then like come back here and just imagine, like, if we were to clear this area here and wrapping around to the courtyard, I think visually that would be probably one of the most impactful things we could do to this part of the yard right now. So now I just have to scratch on my arms while I'm doing it, but I think it's worth it. Okay, let me show you what I managed to get done so far. So this is still definitely a work in progress. I need to work on cleaning up this area with the blackberries, which we are keeping. Just to remind you, we are definitely keeping the blackberries. But you can see there is indeed a stone wall, so it's more of like a terrace garden effect is what I would say. So the stones follow the slope of the hillside. So I still have some things to clean out, but I think it looks a lot nicer this way. And you can see the stone carries all the way around here to the driveway side of the yard. So we have oodles of stone in the pile in the back. So once I really get it cleaned up and get all the extra stuff out of there, we can even add some more stone if we need to neaten things up a bit. And I've left all of the blackberries as stumps so that we can come back through here and dig them out properly so that they don't come back up again. So I think this is a really exciting first step. And that inspired me to do my first weeding through this garden bed here along the side of the barn that's on the other side of this area. So we're definitely making some headway. Okay, with Easter just around the corner, I thought we would make an orange pound cake today, because I think it would make an excellent breakfast or brunch if you have guests coming. All right, so this is a really easy recipe. Now you can do this either in the oven or in the bread machine, and I'll include instructions for both in the recipe. Now today we're going to be doing it in the oven, so let me show you how this comes together. So we've got all-purpose flour, and we're just going to start by dumping all of the dry ingredients in a bowl together. Okay, so there's the flour. Next comes the granulated sugar. And I've got some baking powder. And then to start putting the orange flavor into the recipe, you're gonna add either your choice of orange zest or dried orange peel. So you may remember a while back I showed you how to make this powdered form of dried orange peel. So I keep this on hand so that even if I don't have oranges in the house, I can still do recipes like this. Okay, so let's get that in there. All right, so that's all of our dry ingredients. And we're just gonna stir those together so that they're evenly mixed. Yeah, and you can really smell the orange just coming off that dried orange peel is amazing. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're gonna start adding all of our wet ingredients. So we've got some orange juice, a little more orange flavor, and then a little bit of milk. Some melted butter. And then I've got some beaten eggs. All right. Now we just need to stir that together. And I'll tell you, this smells amazing when it's baking. And you don't want to stir this too much, just enough that you can see all of the ingredients have come together. We don't want any pockets of the dry ingredients that haven't been incorporated. Okay, that looks pretty good. So this is going to go into a greased bread pan. I've already got this one prepped. Yeah, super orangey. Now after this goes in the oven and has cooled, we're going to come back and make an orange glaze to drizzle over it. So it really just tops it off nicely. Trying to make sure I get all the batter. Okay. So just smooth that out so that it's even in the pan. And then this is going to go into a 350-degree oven for 45 to 60 minutes. Now that's a bigger range than you might normally hear on a recipe, and that's simply because pound cakes are incredibly dense. So they're going to take a little longer to cook through than a typical bread or cake, and your oven is certainly going to vary a bit from one to the next. So start watching it around the 40-minute mark, and then you'll let it go as long as it needs. All right, so let's get this in the oven. Okay. And then we'll come back when that's done and it's had time to cool, and I'll show you how to make the glaze. The orange pound cake is out of the oven. Take a look. So it has a gorgeous brown interior, and I'll cut it in a minute and show you what it looks like on the inside. But first, we're gonna make a tasty orange glaze for him. So this is a super simple thing. We're just gonna take a half a cup of powdered sugar. And then we're gonna combine that with a tablespoon of orange juice. And then let me grab a spoon and we'll get that stirred together. This is about as easy as it gets when it comes to making any kind of icing or glaze. And you're just gonna stir that until you get all the lumps out of the brown, or not the brown sugar, but the powdered sugar. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then I'm just gonna drizzle this over the cake. And again, this is just yet another way to add some more orange flavor. And it just dresses it up a little bit too. It's hard to resist things with icing. And so usually I like to, if you have time, let the icing kind of soak in and harden so you get that sort of crusty, almost like a glazed donut sort of icing. Okay, so we just let that soak in a bit. And if you have some this drip down the edge while it's still wet. You can just scoop it back up and get it back on the cake so you're not wasting any of it. All right, so while that one dries, let me show you one that I made and have already sliced. Okay, so here is our glazed orange pound cake. And you can see it has the nice brown outside edge, but then a beautiful yellow interior, really nice chrome. So this is, I mentioned earlier, this is a really good breakfast or brunch, but it is a pound cake, so of course it's also quite good as a dinner treat. So this on its own for dessert or paired maybe with some fresh fruit would be fantastic. So I will include a link to this recipe in the description below the video, and I will include in that as well instructions, or link to the instructions on how to make the powdered orange peel, the dried orange peel, if you're interested in that as well. So just another really simple and tasty recipe.
Now that hunting season is over, we're able to take our nightly walks on the farm road again. It's nice to be able to take a break from our busy days to enjoy the natural beauty that's all around us.